you. Mr. Conyers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to commend the witnesses and tell you that this is one very disturbed member at this hearing today. I'm troubled by Lebanon and Grenada. It hangs over me so greatly that it's astonishing we would come here and you're still struggling for the right to participate in the military at full speed with the rest of us. Perhaps that will hasten the day where we will begin to turn away from military solutions, which seem to be the order of the day. In my own mind, I've resolved the question of sex and gender so long ago that I feel a sense of deja vu to keep coming back to Chairman Edwards' persistent hearings where we continue to go over whether the sexes are equal in 1983. Someday these hearings will be read with great astonishment that there were these turgid discussions about women this and women, are they ready for that? It would probably be just as demeaning to single out blacks, to say, are blacks ready to fight in the service, or can they serve in electoral positions? Are they ready for complex work? This whole hearing has an air of such ancient myths that we have to sort them out. I guess this is the only way we do it in a democratic society. So I commend and congratulate you for your persistence and your patience with this congressional committee.
Mr. DeWine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Atkins, let me apologize if you've already answered this question, but if you did, I missed it.
Or maybe I can pretend. How about that?
Pardon me?
Maybe I can pretend that I have.
Okay. What is your opinion about the question that Mr. Sensenbrenner was talking about, is whether or not the ERA would require combat assignment?
What we have said in our earlier testimony is that assignment policies would have to be gender neutral. They would have to be based on the qualifications of the individual as opposed to on the basis of sex.
So the answer is yes.
The answer is my answer is that the assignments would have to be gender neutral. Assignments would have to be done. Sometimes assignments are made on the basis of voluntary choice. Sometimes sometimes assignments are made in terms of absolute direction, and this is where you have to be. There's a variety of ways that things can happen, but those policies could not be based on gender.
Right. So if the decision was made to make the assignment, if you didn't have volunteers for a particular combat project, job, and the assignment was made, it would have to be gender neutral.
It would be made on the basis of the best qualified. Assumedly, the military services would see it in their interest to make it on the basis of the best qualified.
That's right, but
gender neutral.
They could no longer exclude women as a matter of policy from the combat assignment.
As a matter of policy, that's true. Yeah.
What is the standard if the ERA is passed? How do we judge, as an attorney, what is your opinion about how we judge laws that are in fact passed or practices, in this case basically practices? What is you've mentioned in here rigorous examination, and I think you used another, their need must be compelling. We've kicked this around in every hearing, and I just would like to get your opinion. We've had a lot of opinions and a lot of different opinions. I'd like to know what your opinion is. What is the criteria if the ERA does not spell it out? If we just have the ERA.
What the ERA does spell out is an equality principle, and as I said earlier, I come to this subcommittee as an advocate, not a constitutional theorist, and so I have avoided putting on assuming that I could create a constitutional doctrine, which I know that you will be doing through the legislative history when you discuss this with the constitutional scholars. My reason for looking at the bottom line results is because, representing my organization as an attorney, that's what we expect to have to be looking at. And The results that I expect to happen is that gender-explicit exclusionary policies would have to fall, but that neutral policies in and of themselves would not be, just because they disproportionately statistically maybe impacted women differently, would not automatically fall, but that they would have to be sensible. And we know that when we deal with the military in the courts or deal with Congress's oversight of the military, that's, you know, that showing them to be insensible is what is necessary.
Okay.
I'd like to
No,
say something.
let me, if I could follow up, just, I'd be more than happy to listen to your comment. I'm a little bothered by the number of witnesses who we have in front of this committee who say they're not a constitutional scholar, and I understand
Most of us
that.
in this world are not.
That's right, and I'm not either, but I would like to know who is going to decide what the standard is. And the fear I have is it's going to be some obscure federal judge who's going to be making a decision, and I think that is our job to make that decision. And my question is, I would just like a little help. What do you think? You're an attorney, I'm an attorney. What is your opinion about what the test is? Isn't that the real tough question? I mean, we can talk all day about women being equal, and everyone in this room, I would hope, would agree with that. But the tough question, I mean, those are easy questions. But let's get to the tough question. What is the criteria we're talking about? You know, you've used several words, and now we're to a sensible standard. What does that mean?
An analysis of what the Congress decides is military policy, and we are talking here in terms of Congress, since you are the ultimate body responsible for military policy, by me as an advocate has been done based on the history of how these cases have come out. I am not wedded, even though I am a proponent of the rule of law, to the buzzwords, to the labels of tests which have necessarily come down the line, because we have a variety of results under them. I've talked to you about results, which I would think would also be a very significant thing to you in terms of what would really happen. You know, what is the bottom line of what would happen in terms of military policy?
Yes,
that's
excuse me,
that's what I would like to bring to you.
I understand
How you get there will be developed by your legislative history, and I know that you will be with the help of constitutional scholars, developing doctrine around that, developing a framework within which I hope, as an advocate, that my results will come from that test. I am very, very reluctant to talk on that level, on that plane with you.
I
I apologize.
Someday
Mr.
we get
DeWine.
some witnesses in here, Mr. Chairman, with all due respect, who will talk about what the interpretation will be by the courts and what the test is, because that is the tough question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Gentlewoman from Colorado, Ms. Schroeder.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I, too, want to compliment the witnesses. I think they've done an excellent job, and let me see if we can explain just a little bit about what I think you're saying to maybe relieve my colleague's mind. You were, first of all, and tell me if I'm misconstruing your testimony, I hear you saying that whether or not women are drafted doesn't really have anything to do with the ERA. In other words, not being under the ERA would not be a perfect defense to the draft.
In fact, it's likely not going to be.
Then the next thing you're saying is that the Equal Rights Amendment does not eliminate job-related qualifications, which is what I think maybe my colleague is trying to get to. So, in other words, if there are job-related qualifications that are job-related, it's not whether or not women are fluent in Chinese or something, and you're sending them to El Salvador, so you can't quite figure out whether it's job-related. If they are job-related and proven under, like, the Duke Power case and other cases that have established the law in this area, then that holds up, and the ERA does not negate it.
Right. That's right.
The ERA does not mandate that 50% of the people in combat will be female, whether or not they meet the qualifications.
That is certainly right. It will not mandate that.
I think